Hi, welcome to Kat's Coffee Talks. I'm Kat, and this is an interview with someone really special to me. And she is an abstract expressionist artist from South Arizona. She's artistic director of the Tubac Center of the Arts, which is a nonprofit arts center. And she's the co-owner of On the Edge Contemporary Gallery in Tubac, Arizona. And Karon Leigh, how are you?
Thank you so much, Kathleen. I'm so honored to be a part of this. I really am. I appreciate it so
Well,
much.
I'm so excited because we've never met,
I
but
know it's so weird. It's like we're related and we haven't met yet.
yeah, so I guess I should probably clue
Yeah,
everybody
you
in
can
on
say
this.
something.
Yeah, we knew we had to talk about the elephant in the room, and that is that I met a very handsome man on a bus 6 years ago. And to strike up a conversation with me, he, asked what I did. And when I told him, he said, "Oh, my sister's an artist." And I thought, "Oh, of course she is.
Mhm.
Sure." And then he brought up your website. And I was like, "Oh, like for real here."
And
And
that's what
and
he
not
did
that,
with me too. When I said,
oh, really?
"So who is this woman?" And he goes, "Yeah, so she's an artist." I'm like, "Yeah, right." And
Right,
send me the website. And I'm like, "Oh my God, she's a real artist."
right.
I'm in.
And
I
not that he
approve.
needs, yeah, not that he needed any help, but it did give him some brownie points big time. And
Mhm.
since then, we've done some conversations virtually and over the phone and that, but I'm looking forward to meeting you this summer. You better be coming, you little
I
steam
will
pot.
be there. Beth and I are planning to be there. Yeah.
Because I'm marrying your brother. So then we are
You're marrying
definitely
my
going to be
brother.
related.
I just already like you are already my sister-in-law, but there's no like that official thing. So, but I'm glad you're doing the official thing. I'll be there.
Yeah. After the pandemic and everything, we kind of, well, we had this big thing planned, and then it just, and I kind of thought, well, do we really even need to do this, And he's never been married, and it's a big deal. It's a big deal to all of us. And so, yeah, we're doing it, and I am all excited again. And we're right in wedding mode. So that is out of the way. I want to
Okay,
talk about you
good.
now. Yeah, I know. I thought, oh, I got to talk about that. Okay, so first of all, I want to ask you, when did you start painting professionally? Well, let's start. When did you start painting, like really feeling like this was your thing? And then when did it become a profession?
I started in first grade, maybe kindergarten. I've always been making art my whole life. I remember bringing artwork home to show my mom, and I had that self doubt at an early age where I would come home with artwork, and she said, "Oh, I love it," and I'm like, "Oh yeah, you only say that because you have to because you're my mom." Um, that's been my whole life, but from an early age, I knew that was who I was, that I was an artist, and I've pursued it my whole life, even though it wasn't my professional career all my life. So it's always been it's always been a part of my life. It's always been a major, like even when I had another job, I was always making art. That's who I am.
That's so
I'm an
cool.
artist.
Yeah. And when did you realize that this could actually turn into a profession?
Never.
Really? Give me a
Okay.
break.
So I've never considered myself, well, I've always struggled with the idea of making a living as an artist. Um, as a teenager in high school, I was an award-winning artist, and I always knew that's who I was, but I never felt that I had the talent or support to make a living as an artist. In the family that I grew up in, it was very, it's not conservative. It was traditional in that you went to college, you got a job, um, But although I did, after high school, I did go to California College of Arts and Crafts. I didn't get that kind of support that I really needed, and my dad was great, but he was the guy that said, "Yeah, so how are you going to make a living at this?" And that is the challenge for many artists. How are you going to make a living at your art? And most of the professional artists that I know are making a living not from selling their art, but from doing something else in the arts. So they're teaching, they're doing workshops, they're
Like
consulting,
artists. Yeah.
they're doing all sorts of other things that support their artwork. And that's always been my way of getting through life is doing all these other things that help promote and support who I am as an artist. I've never been like like you said, Kathleen, you are the artist and you've been a singer and an artist and that's how you made your living. That's never been me, although that's who I am. Does that make sense?
Makes sense. And
Okay.
now, like you, my mother was like, you should. She had a cousin who was a professional graphic artist who made lots of money, and so she was
Right.
like, "This is the way I need to go." And I said, "Mom, it would kill me to not be able to paint what I wanted to paint." You know.
Right, right, exactly. No, I got like, you're gonna have to marry some guy to take care of you so you can
Oh,
do
I
your
heard that
artwork. I'm
too.
like, I'm like, no, I don't need to do that.
Yeah, I heard that
Okay.
too. Well, that was the way things were back
I
then.
know
Things have changed.
it was a time period and traditionally, that's where I grew up, where women they became nurses and teachers and um, we weren't encouraged to pursue alternative professional positions. And art certainly was a pastime. It was a hobby. It wasn't a real career. So
Right.
why are you going to spend your time and your money on that?
Right. Well, I'm really grateful that you stayed with it because your work just moves me. Every time I see something new, I'm like, Mark, look at this. And we just get so excited. And every time you sell something, it's like, I
Yeah.
wanted that so
Well,
bad.
that's always a bonus when you sell something, right? Yeah.
Well, and
Well,
you've
thank you.
done okay.
I
You've done
appreciate that.
okay. And so now you have an art gallery, you and Barbara. So let's talk about that. How did that happen? And how's that
Well,
going? And yeah, I mean, right in the middle of a pandemic, you opened up an art gallery.
right. So one of the things that as I grew up as a person, as a woman, and said, yes, I am an artist, even though I'm not selling my artwork to make a living, I needed to make art my that's who I was. Like art is my life. I needed to create my life around art making. And so I've been working and there's a thing about there's a friend of mine who's an all-in Buddhist person, and she says there's a right livelihood is when you create your life and your career and your income generating persona around the things that bring you joy and are passionate and provide benefit in the world. And so there was a couple of years ago where I said, I am all in as an artist and I'm going to make my life about art. And so I will back up a little bit. I was working at the Tubac Center of the Arts starting in 2010. I said, I want to work in the arts. And that was after going through working in the tech industry for a long time. And I really felt like tech, you know, I I didn't know what the hell I was doing. I was a big phony. I'm really an artist and I shouldn't be here. So I found the art world and I worked at a nonprofit art center. And then I actually moved away for a little while. And when I came back, I said, I'm going to be all in on art. I'm going to commit my whole life to the art world. And I came back, and I am currently the artistic director at a nonprofit art center, which is a great joy because I get to help other artists. I get to present art exhibitions and help artists participate in that. And then one day, a dear friend of mine who's also an artist, who had a gallery, and then because of the situation with the actual location and who she was renting from, she's like, yeah, I had to close that. And it was almost a year. And one day she came to me and she said, I found a place and I want to open a gallery. And I'm like, great, good for you. You need to do this again because you did a great job previously. She goes, I don't think I can do this on my own. I need a partner. I'm like, I think you can work that out. I was very supportive. She's my best friend. I'm like, I want to support her. She goes, do you think you would be my partner in this gallery? I'm like, Barb, I have a full-time job at the art center. I'm the artistic director there.
Yeah.
And, but I had committed to saying yes to every art opportunity that came my way. And I said yes to Barbara. And in January of 2020, we opened On the Edge Contemporary Art Gallery in Tubac, Arizona. And we were open for 3 months, and we, kicked butt and did really well because we were so different. And we offer a completely different art venue for people that visit this community. And so in March, we had to close. COVID, hey. And we were closed for a number of months, and we finally opened again part-time and by appointment. And now people are starting to come back, people are starting to come out, and we survived our first year, and we feel like we're going to make it, and we're going to keep going. And yeah, I'm super excited about that. So
I'm so glad to hear that. It's a fabulous gallery. I just can't wait to come down and go shopping.
yes, thank you.
Every time I see a video,
Please
I'm
come
like,
shopping. Please come shopping. Yeah.
so great. So, has the pandemic affected your personal work as an artist?
Well, it's really interesting. It's very it's ironic, like when the pandemic hit and everything shut down, uh, we had to close our gallery. Things at the art center got weird. We had to close there for a couple of months too. But I was really lucky that I was able to keep my job and I was able to work from home. But I tell you, probably so the pandemic hit in mid-March. By June, I was in a nosedive depression, and I'm susceptible to depression, and I'm still struggling to climb out of that. But what happened was, because we had to close our gallery, and I've been in transition in my living life. That's another whole long story. But I've been in transition and I don't really have a studio right now. And so what happened was, when we closed our gallery, I went into the gallery and created a little working space. And
Yeah.
all of a sudden, I was super productive. And I started kicking ass with, sorry if I'm not supposed to say that. I was kicking
Right?
ass with
Artist, hello.
creating work, because all of a sudden I had nobody coming into the gallery. I had a
Yeah.
space to create,
Yeah.
and
And
I
you're
was
surrounded by all this beauty, all this inspiration
and I
from,
was making work. And previously I was kind of in a place where I didn't have a place to create. I didn't have a working space,
that's
so
a big
I
deal.
wasn't working.
Yeah.
Yeah. So even in depths of depression, I was still creative and producing because I finally had that space to make that happen. It's so ironic, you know?
It's really great. It's fun to watch too. So, what does inspire you, Karen?
Well, most of my work is I've been working in acrylic and painting on canvas, and what's inspired me over the years is mostly landscape, but I'm not a realistic painter. I'm inspired by landscape and weather and little history and geology kind of things that show up in abstract ways. So I abstract the landscape, and I'm very much about, I love the Arizona landscape. I've lived in Arizona. Well, I lived here as a teenager for a little while. That doesn't really count. But I came back here in 2000 and late 2008. And there's something about that you can see far away. I used to live in Washington State, and I lived in the Seattle area, lots of trees, and you're kind of closed in. And when you live in Washington and there's a lot of trees around you, and then you go to the beach and you go, oh God, I can see way out there, and it's like there's something about that. That same feeling happens in the desert as going to the beach, and you can see far away, and that inspires me. There's also something about creating the story of place, and we all have a sense of place wherever we have lived, and people connect to, like, they may not, I don't create in my paintings like this is this particular place, but it's
Right,
suggestive of a place that
right.
someone can go, oh, I think I've been there, or this reminds me of some place I've been in my life. And they have that connection to that work. So a lot of my work is about landscape, weather, and a sense of place.
Well, I'm going to be putting together a slideshow at the end of this interview that'll show people your work. And of course, I will be dropping where they can, websites for the different places where you work and where they can see your work. Um, but back to the topic of inspiration, what makes you go to work when you don't feel inspired?
I don't.
Okay, that's
I,
fair.
I don't. I seriously, well, because I really fight to have the time to create, because like I said, I have a full-time job where I'm on the computer a lot of the time. Um, the gallery doesn't take as much of my time because Barbara pretty much runs the gallery, but having that balance of the job where I'm on the computer all the time, and then having the time to create, um, I can't I can't just make that happen when the computer job time drains that energy from me, right? So people
Right.
say, "Oh, why don't you just, go home and paint after work?" Well, you know what? I'm freaking exhausted. So when
Yes.
I'm tired and I try to paint, I get sloppy, and then I get angry at myself for creating crap. So it's very I have to create the time and the space to make that happen. It's
I'm
challenging.
that way in the kitchen. That's why I'm glad your brother's such a good.
Yeah,
When
I
I'm
wish I,
tired, I'm
I
just gonna make crap, so he knows. Okay, I
yes,
think I'll
I
take care of
wish
this.
I wish I had my brother to come like cook my dinner too. Yeah,
Oh, he's excellent in the kitchen.
yeah, he is.
Um, yeah,
That's
that's
his
great. So,
creative space.
oh, it is. He gets very creative. So Karen, so when you start a piece, because you are an abstract expressionist, and one of the things that I appreciate about your work so much is all the layers. And I know that sometimes you will like scratch in and scratch off and paint over something and change it so that it morphs into something other than from where your original intent was. Do you approach the easel with something in your mind as to, because I know you kind of block things out. Do you have something in your mind initially? And then how does your structure work and in the process of painting?
Only occasionally do I have a very specific intent. When I went back to Michigan last summer and I came home with some specific ideas about painting images from the family farm, that was very specific.
Oh, I love
But it,
those.
and you know, I still there's not like reference. All everything I create is intuitive, and it's all comes from this amalgamation of images that are in my head. And so you know, when I'm going to paint a landscape, so much of what I'm inspired by, like recently I'm painting this mountain about, it's south of where I live, but it's going to be where I live. I just love this mountain and I know that image, and it's like I know that shape and I just keep painting it. And it's not about having a specific image. I'm just like, it's all intuitive. And then you make a mark and you create a shape, and like you're just in and out and in and out, and it talks to you. And
Like Richard Dreyfuss in
eventually,
Close Encounters, we kept making, you know,
yes, it's very much like that. Oh my God,
well,
Kathleen, it is so it. And he's like scratching. First he's drawing, he's sketching, and then he's like throwing clay on the kitchen table and he's carving. And when he finally got to that mountain, he
mashed
goes, oh my
potatoes.
God, that's the mountain I've been like trying to create all this time. He was painting it and scratching it, and that's me. That's what
Yeah.
I'm doing. And
Well, I kind of witnessed that and can recognize that in your monsoon series, all these monsoon things, and
Mhm.
they're all different, but they all have the same story. And
Right.
there's no it's definitely not rote, you know. I mean, this whole fascination with these monsoons, and it's
Well,
indicative of where
the
you live, but
monsoons are really interesting in that they're not as powerful in the last few years. They've kind of dissipated, which is why I'm doing more the mountain landscapes. But there used to be a time in Tubac where I'm driving, and I'm like, I have to pull off the road. And I'm like, oh my God, that is so amazing. I have to pull off the road and take a picture because
well,
these
I love your monsoons. Yeah.
the monsoons just freaking blow me away. The
Yeah, I
weather
bet.
and how it changes the light and things around here, it's crazy. It's crazy. I love
Yeah.
it.
So, side note, you have a new puppy. You
I
have
do have
i- is- you have two puppies now,
I have
and
two
are
dogs.
dogs. They're not puppies anymore, and they are
One,
doodles.
one
Are they?
one's a puppy. Maggie is a 9.5-year-old Wheaton and Poodle mix. And Risa is a 6-month-old standard poodle puppy. And she just got her first haircut and she looks actually like a poodle now. So
I saw
yeah,
the
I'm,
pictures. That's
I'm a dog person, not a cat person. I'm allergic to cats, FYI,
uh-oh.
Kathleen.
Well, we're
Yeah.
having an outdoor wedding, so you'll be fine.
Okay, good.
And actually,
Okay, good.
Mark's daughter Rachel is also allergic to cats, but she's not allergic to sugar. So maybe sugar isn't of the ilk that causes issues, I hope. But yeah,
Okay.
we
Okay,
have
good.
a cat. But I just
Yeah.
love looking at the pictures of your dogs. And do they come and hang out in the studio while you're painting, or?
No. They are too much of a distraction for me. And
Mhm,
also I think it's they want too much attention. When I
mhm.
used to have just one dog, and I had a studio in my front yard in front of my house in Rio Rico. Maggie would want to come with me. And we're like, okay, come on, let's go to the studio. And she'd be in there for 5 minutes. And then she's like, okay, now what? Can I go
Yeah.
back to my bed now? I'm like, yeah, you can. You can go back to your bed and I can paint. So my
Yeah.
dogs have never been studio dogs. And I know people that have studio dogs, but that's never worked for me.
Well, I totally understand. I do. My cat is very much like a dog and can be very demanding, so I get it. So where do you see yourself going with your work and with the gallery, and where do you see yourself in the future?
So one of the things that I'm super excited about, but I don't know exactly what the time frame is going to be. I'm currently living in Tubac. I feel like I'm kind of in transition. I'm in a rental without a studio, which is why I'm painting in the back of the gallery. Um, but I purchased a lot back in Rio Rico. That's where my mountain is. And I'm going to be building a new home with an art studio.
Oh,
And I'm so excited to have a new studio,
congratulations.
well, to
Right.
have my house and this art studio. And I feel like once I have the space to actually create, I need a lot of space. I need a lot of space.
Yeah, yeah.
Because not only am I a, a painter, I paint with acrylic, I paint with oil, I'm a printmaker, and I also teach. So having a space to teach workshops again would be awesome. It is so remote and beautiful that I think people will want to come and visit, perhaps a retreat, an amazing space for an artist retreat to
Yes,
stay in
please.
the guest space and work in the studio with amazing views. I'm just really excited. That's where I'm going for the future. And I don't know how that will impact my work personally, but I think that having that space and that mindset of, being out, um, will allow me to really grow as an artist. And
Hi, Karen.
that
I
will be
can't
my
wait to see
time.
that. I can't wait to see that. Congratulations. That's just brilliant. That's fantastic.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I look forward to having you visit.
Please. Yes, please. Well, I'm going to wrap this up because the time is at the bottom of the hour. And I feel that you've answered all my questions. One last thing you want to say before we sign off?
No.
No,
No,
that's fine.
I just really appreciate that you're willing to do this whole program and promote creative people. I think that's such a blessing in this time that, creative people need the support and the outreach and,
Well, thank
to
you.
be recognized. So thank you for doing that.
Well, I was birthed out of frustration because of COVID. So
I
I
totally
get
get
so
it.
much out of it. Yeah, I get
Yeah.
so much out of it. Well, I really appreciate you agreeing to come on because I know that a lot of artists, visual artists especially, we work in solitude and it's out of our comfort zone to get on camera and talk about
Well,
ourselves.
it's totally out of my comfort zone, just so you
I
know that.
know, I
Pushing
know, and
me. You're
I don't
pushing
take it
me.
for granted. I just really appreciate it. So you'll get a little thank you note
All right.
and a wedding invite. They are being printed up for
Okay.
real
Great.
this time.
For real. I will be there.
Changed the date 7 times, but hey,
Yeah.
who's counting?
I'll be
Anyway, so I look forward to meeting you face to face this summer and stay in touch
there.
and tell Barb hi.
I will.
And congratulations on all your success. Just keep it
Thank
up.
you
This
so
is
much.
exciting.
And
So
to you
exciting.
too. And
Thank you,
to you too.
darling.
You
Okay,
take
well,
care.
I'm gonna say goodbye. I'm gonna just sign off and we'll see you next week.
Okay. Take care. Bye.